Hello everyone. So let's move on to the module 3, chapter number 1 of Certified Fraud Examiner certification, right? So guys, module 3 is about the investigation. We used to discuss about how to investigate the things, how to investigate the situation, right? Someone has given you certain whistleblower or maybe certain red flag is there. Now you are supposed to investigate the things and conclude the matter. All these things we used to discuss in this module 3, right? So as this is our core piece of work, we are supposed to have the thorough understanding of the module 3, right? So now let's talk about the chapter number 1. This chapter number 1 is related to planning and conducting a fraud examination. The right word should be the fraud examination instead of using the word called investigation, because we are talking about the fraud only, right? So how to examine whether a fraud has happened or not. We are in this chapter, we have to discuss what all planning should be there and how to conduct that fraud examination. So we discuss about what is forensic accounting, what is fraud examination, certain key points which everyone should keep in mind when you are conducting a fraud examination, what all steps should be taken to plan and conduct the fraud examination, what all fraud response plan and organization should apply in their organization. All these things we used to discuss in this chapter, right? Now let's touch upon the very important point from the examination point of view, right guys? Now, whatever the points we'll be discussing in this video, there is a high possibility that you will be getting question from each and every point which we'll be discussing now onwards, right? So let's quickly discuss upon certain points. So when I would say there are 4 points which you have to, 5 points even I would say you have to keep in your mind. Number 1. First important point is that begin fraud examination with the assumption that the case will end into litigation, right? You have to keep your mindset that yes, at the end the case will go to the court. You have to take help of the court to solve this matter. So first point here is that begin fraud examination with the assumption that case will end in litigation, right? Number 2, do not initiate fraud examination without proper predication. Until unless there is a proper predication, you are not supposed to begin the fraud examination, because if you will be initiating the fraud examination, there will be certain costs which are going to happen with in the organization. It's always better to do certain pre-work and understand whether the fraud examination is necessary or not. While in detail we have discussed about predication in our detailed video lectures. Number 3, begin with general information to specific details. You have to start your investigation, you have to start your fraud examination with the general information, certain basic information. Then you have to go to the specific information pertaining to the case. Number 4, interview suspects. Interview starting with the least knowledgeable to the most knowledgeable. It's always better to interview that person first who is having the least information about the case, rather than directly touching upon the person who is having the most information. Why? Why we have discussed in detail in the video lectures, right? Number 5, start interview process as close as possible once the event triggers. Once you came to know about that there is certain wrong has happened, it's better to start the interview process as soon as possible, because later on the interviewer may become deceptive, may not support you, may be absconding itself. So it's always better to start the interview process ASAP. Guys, all these 5 points are very important from the examination point of view, right? Very nice. Next point from the examination point of view is the preserve confidentiality. We are supposed to preserve the confidentiality, and to help preserve confidentiality, what all should you do? Number 1, do not alert the suspect. Number 2, request participants to keep investigation confidential. Number 3, guard case information. Number 4, consider conducting the investigation under any applicable evidentiary privileges. What is the meaning of evidentiary privileges? We are discussed in detail in the detailed video lectures. Number 5, tailor confidentiality requirement to the specific case at hand. We are not supposed to use the blanket confidentiality policies. We are supposed to tailor the confidentiality requirement in line with the specific case in hand. In certain cases, we may be requiring the high level of confidentiality. In some cases, we may be just going with the general confidentiality requirement. Clear? So these were the key points which you are supposed to keep in mind from the chapter number 1, module 3 of Certified Fraud Examiner. Right? So in the next video, we'll be talking about chapter number 2 of module 3 of Certified Fraud Examiner. Right? So keep an eye on the upcoming videos. Till then, take care. Bye-bye and keep smiling.